Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guide. This is another episode of the Advanced Platformer series, and today is going to be a short video. We are going to be fixing a problem we encountered in the previous video, which is that in the previous video, if you remember, we made our gun face the mouse. However, there was a little bit of a problem, which is that if I actually run this, you can see that my gun does face my mouse here. Yeah, you can see it does face my mouse here as long as I am on this side and I can move. But if I go on this side, it still acts as though I was moving my mouse here. If I actually move my mouse here, it clamps the rotation, and even this here, it's inverted rotation. So that is happening due to some scaling applied on this sprite. Now that is of course a problem. We do not want this to happen. Two ways that we can basically go ahead and try to fix that. One is to simply just go ahead and not make this weapon a child of the sprite, but that would be of course a pretty big problem, because that would mean that our weapon will be facing one way regardless of whether we are facing left or right. So that's not going to work very well. Instead, what we want to do is we want to go ahead inside of our Visual Studio that we have got here. We want to change some stuff here. What we are going to do is, instead of having this mouse position, I'm going to create this vector called difference, and we are going to subtract our transform dot position from this directly, transform dot position, and we are not going to use this here, but we are going to use our direction vector here, because that will just keep things a bit better. Difference actually, not direction, so we'll say difference dot x. We can also call it direction actually, that is also right, and this is actually supposed to be x, so yeah, let's just go ahead and change that to difference dot y. This is actually supposed to be difference dot x, and the other one is supposed to be, the first one is supposed to be difference dot y. Now that works, but in order to make sure that our angle is pointing at the right position, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and also create another float here. That float is going to be called sign. Sign, the sign here means the actual sign, whether it's positive or negative, of our scale. And what we'll do is we'll use mathf.sign, but we'll use transform.lossy scale. The reason we use lossy scale here is because this means it will also take into account the parents, and this is read only, and we'll use that x value. So if that sign, we'll just take that sign and we'll multiply that sign by the x we have got here. And let's just go ahead and save that, and actually not by x, by sign. We'll multiply that, and let's go ahead and save this script and go back under Unity, and let's see, let's compile that and see if it works or there are still some problems. What you should see is that it does not exactly work, but there is still a slight problem. So let's go ahead and compile that. You can see that yeah, it is kind of displaying this here quite nicely, and if I go here, you can see that it is working. We cannot move it that side, but this here is inverted. So the reason that that's happening is because we'll also need to multiply this angle here by the sign. So we'll have to go ahead and multiply this by our sign as well, and if I multiply this by sign, it should not be inverted vertically or horizontally, and it should all work correctly. So let's go ahead and compile that and see whether that works or not. So what you should see is that now our gun system is pretty much working correctly. So if I move to the left, you can see I can move my mouse here and it's working, and if I move to the right, I can move it here as well, and it's working as well. Now the problem is, one thing that I noticed is that we can only change direction by walking in the wrong direction. However, we should be able to kind of walk in this direction while facing our gun at that direction. So the facing, I believe, should not be handled by the movement. Instead, it should be handled by whether our gun is. So if our gun exceeds a particular angle, we should automatically flip the character. So let's go ahead and implement that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a another transform reference inside of a weapon aim system called just sprite, because it's going to represent our sprite, and we are going to handle that in here instead of where we were doing it before. Now we are going to remove this multiplied by sign here, and I'm going to multiply the angle by sign directly, and when we are done calculating the difference, we'll check if the difference dot x value is greater than 0, and also we'll create like a bool here called facing left, which we'll just set to false, and we are facing left. If the difference dot x is greater than 0, which means it's in front of the our astronaut is in front of the astronaut and the difference is greater than 0, which means mouse is front of the astronaut and we are facing the other direction. That means we should change our direction. Now we are going to just copy that code from here, and I'm going to remove this from here as well, also this boolean. We don't need that in movement.cs. And in here what we'll do is we'll create basically paste this here. We'll replace our animator with sprite, and we'll also make sure that we use difference.x here. So if our difference.x is less than 0 and we are not facing left, then we are going to make our character face left, and that is pretty much all we need to do. So if I go under Unity, and it's going to compile everything, and now that's pretty much, there is nothing else that we want to do, because it's going to work now, and we should be able to change our direction by just using our mouse. So if I run this, you can see that if I go ahead and move my mouse to the other direction, my astronaut flips automatically, and I can keep moving in this direction while I am moving on the other one. So I can move reverse as well, and my looking is completely handled by the mouse. So yeah guys, this is pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one, in which you'll start adding some actual interactive elements like making our gun shoot and stuff like that in the next video. So make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that, and share this video with other people as well, and bye.